Miller's McConnell gets even better. Because you know what's even more fun than watching Miller engage his freeze response? Watching him engage in fight and flight, all within 10 minutes of each other. If you don't know what I'm talking about, see my previous video. Because yes, they came back after resolving the technical difficulties. And by the way, I do want to correct the record because Boris Sanchez, the host, caught some flack in the last video for saying, oh, it looks like we've got some technical difficulties. Because Sanchez delivers a masterclass in how to push back on the lies. He does not let him get away easy. And you can tell it's working because, oh boy, does little Miller start to squirm. This is also, by the way, the clip that CNN shared online. They cut out the plenary bit and the technical difficulties part. Also, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to include my commentary so that it's like fair use.
The question was whether the administration still plans to abide by that judge's order restricting any National Guard troops from being sent to Oregon.
Well, the administration will abide by the ruling.
It's worth noting that the first time he was asked this question, he did not say that they would comply.
But there are also
with
many
the
other
order.
options the president has to deploy federal resources and assets under the U.S. military to Portland. But I was making the point that under federal law, Section Title 10 of the U.S. Code, the president has the authority anytime he believes federal resources are insufficient
not
to federalize the
plenary
National Guard to carry out a mission necessary
Interesting that he
for
left that
public
word out
safety.
this time.
So it's important to understand that in Portland, ICE officers have been subjected to over 100 nights of terrorist assault, doxing, murder threats, violent attack, and every other means imaginable to try to overturn the results of the last election through violence. The most important point I want to make today is that the number one
trying to make this about overturning
in 2024 were to turn back the border invasion and carry out the largest deportation program.
They didn't
in
have a
American
platform,
history.
by the way.
Since Inauguration Day, there's been an orchestrated campaign of terrorism and violence against ICE officers. Of course, we saw the recent sniper attack against ICE officers. They're publishing their families' photos online. They're threatening them with murder. They're threatening them with death. And they're physically attacking them in the street each and every day. And yet, shamefully, the mayor and governor in Portland and Oregon have refused to render aid, leaving ICE officers to street fight every single night against these terrorists.
Street fighting.
You make the claim of terrorist assaults and violence attack over 100 nights, and yet the judge overseeing this case says that that's untethered from reality. And local officials on the ground say that Trump's assertion of what's happening in Portland, that it's war-ravaged and burning to the ground, is far from true. I looked at the police data, and police have made something like 70 total arrests since June, and there are no reports of buildings being burned to the ground.
Thank you.
The White House cited a guillotine being rolled out.
Guillotine.
As
I'm
a
sorry.
display
Were there
of
not
rebellion.
gallows
But there
rolled
isn't
out
actually a threat that
few years
these
ago
demonstrators are going to overthrow the government.
on a cool
Are
January
you concerned
morning?
that response weakens your legal argument?
No, they are actually, as we speak, trying to overthrow the core law enforcement function of the federal government.
Using that word again.
Of course, this I think we're talking past each other. When ICE officers have to street battle against Antifa,
street battle,
hand-to-hand combat every night to come and go from their building. When they try to exit in a vehicle, when they are swarmed and surrounded and they try to tip the vehicle over, when people bring weapons to an ICE facility to try to engage in direct violent assault against ICE officers, what is the purpose? It is to prevent immigration and customs enforcement from carrying out the mission the American people elected them to do.
Funny how no one's been
the case that these are terrorists, but in what we've seen thus far, the actual incidents of people inciting violence and not responding to law enforcement attempting to disperse them are not an open rebellion. I mean, again, you make this characterization as though they're terrorists, and I do wonder if it is potentially a problem in the future for Republicans. If a Democratic president someday calls the National Guard to a red state over what they see as open rebellion,
we need more of this.
But is what amounts to a demonstration that gets rowdy. I mean, is that not a fear?
And they're posting pictures of their kids because it's a demonstration, and they have a sniper on top of a building firing a high-caliber rifle at a nice facility because it's a demonstration, and they are engaged in vehicle ramming.
But the National Guard isn't being sent to Texas.
Because it's a
the National Guard isn't being sent to Dallas, where that sniper was.
Because the Dallas Police Department and the governor of Texas, well, you walked right into that one. have responded to every call for assistance and help. They gave a stand-down order in Chicago, and they gave a stand-down order in Portland. Do you realize that there's 11,000 federal law enforcement officers in Oregon? That's larger than the size of the FBI. Local and state police are resourced to deal with this
Find
kind
an
of
example where there was a sniper elsewhere that was not arrested.
Order. So
they've arrested some 70 people since June.
Stop lying,
They've
dude.
been arresting folks on the ground. They've been arresting folks on the ground. They refute what you're saying outright.
We literally have the 911 audio of the stand-down order in Chicago, and we have documented inside of DHS every single unresponded to 911 call over the recent weeks and months.
Do you have evidence that this campaign is coordinated? Are you planning charges on anyone who is actually coordinating said campaign?
Yes. So since the Joint Terrorism Task Force has gotten involved, we found that there are common funding, that there is common financing, that there are meeting points, that is carefully orchestrated, carefully integrated. Yes.
And you are going to charge someone with terrorism?
Well, so I would like to.
I bet you would like to, but that doesn't mean you're going to, are you?
No. What I'm saying to you is the Congress has statutes on seditious conspiracy, on insurrection, on impeding federal law enforcement. The domestic terrorism statute in Congress obviously needs to be strengthened for domestic terrorism in Congress. We have foreign terrorism charges. We have an entire patchwork of federal laws. To the extent that there are charges that apply, we will charge them in every single case. You have impeding law enforcement, you have seditious conspiracy, you have a conspiracy to deprive of rights, you have assault against law enforcement officers. But all of this meets the hallmark, textbook definitions of domestic terrorism. I just want
the legal definitions, however, the legal definitions.
What we're talking about here. President Trump ran and won a campaign on turning back the border invasion.
You've said that several times, Stephen. We have a limited amount of time, so let me ask you. Let me ask you about the governor of Illinois.
Let me ask you about the governor of Illinois. He declared a no-go zone for ICE. How is that not insurrection?
Stephen, we're set to hear from J.B. Pritzker in just moments. He says that you're attempting to inflame tensions and create a war zone. He also says that you are profiling, that you're targeting black and brown people, even those who turn out to be here legally. What's your response?
Well, first of all, the black people in Chicago are thrilled that we're getting the illegal aliens out of their communities who are stealing their housing, jobs, and resources. You've seen the video of the town halls.
Do you think Stephen Miller has ever spoken to a black person?
Where black citizens who are natives of Chicago were begging to have the illegals taken out of their country. What they've done is they've created a system of law in Chicago, in Illinois, where illegal aliens have far more rights than American citizens.
That's not true.
If an American citizen, for example, commits a crime of sexual predation against a child, they'll cooperate with the FBI.
If the FBI has a reason to access that data.
That illegal alien will be shielded.
No, that's not true.
I ask you the question.
These crimes will be prosecuted on a state level,
declaring a no-go zone for ICE.
And if they become a federal crime, then they will be prosecuted on a federal level.
No, you would not. But there's an effort to delegitimize the core function of the federal government of enforcing our immigration laws and our sovereignty. It is domestic terrorism. It is insurrection.
No, it's not.
And no amount of insane hyperventilating lies from Pritzker or Johnson or any other Democratic official will change our minds on that. ICE officers should not have to live in fear and violence to do their jobs. Period.
So on the substance
sounds like
of
a skill issue. They're afraid.
Is it the case that, as Pritzker frames it, you are profiling brown people, that this immigration crackdown is designed to go after people of color?
It's such a, oh, what a dumb question. The illegal aliens who are here are taking jobs away from blacks, they're taking jobs away from whites, they're taking jobs away from Latinos, they're taking their health benefits away, they're taking their school slots away, and of course in many cases they're committing heinous crimes. We cannot have a system of law in this country that privileges illegal aliens over American citizens. And that's
now
what
you
they're
know
doing.
The word privilege?
You know it, and I know it.
So that's not exactly a no, Stephen. Can you just unequivocally state that the immigration policy... I said it's a dumb question. Okay.
Well,
I appreciate that. But
and it's a dumb question.
So no, this policy is not designed to...
I thought when I said it was a dumb question, it meant no.
Well, I just want to be clear and precise. I appreciate you trying to qualify my questions, but nevertheless, I think it's a fair one that a lot of people have.
My full answer is no, that is a lie, and it's a dumb question. But you said something else baked into the premise of one of your questions. You said, well, aren't we provoking? Illinois governor says we're provoking actions that are unlawful. Why would the mere presence, just think about this for a second, if I put federal law enforcement and National Guard into a nice sleepy southern town, is anyone going to riot? Is anyone going to try to shoot them in the face? Are they going to try to attack them in the street?
Building full of people in the middle of the night, covering their faces without identification, without identifying themselves, there might be concern among the community, especially if American citizens are being... Especially if American citizens are caught up in that, which some reportedly were.
We netted over 30 foreign terrorists.
30 arrestees with charges that have yet to be released.
They torture women and
This is based on
those American
zero actual evidence
from Traindiragua. You know, there was a case recently in Washington.
They provided no evidence that they're even members of
Traindiragua. That they disagree with that policy.
They took a power drill.
Isn't it enough for some people?
Well, by the way.
Hey, Stephen,
first of all, let me finish the story. TDA took a power drill and drilled a hole through a woman's hand.
Understood. Stephen,
in Portland?
We have to leave the conversation there because we're short on time, but nevertheless, we do appreciate you making the time for us and coming on CNN and sharing your point of view.
Always.
What did I say? Masterclass. Masterclass. And I just want to point out, it is hard on the fly to respond to, call out, and fact check every single point rapid fire from a canned and prepared response. And this is probably the best I've seen it done, at least in quite some time, especially by a TV host, while also maintaining a degree of professionalism that's not going to allow Miller to run off and cry foul. I think this was really well done. Snaps for Boris.